decades, the Sennheiser MKH416 has been widely regarded as an industry standard shotgun mic, but over the last couple of years a relative newcomer, the Deity S-Mic 2, has gained a reputation in some circles as a relatively low cost, near as makes no difference substitute for the Sennheiser. I decided to find out for myself what the similarities and differences between these two mics really are, relative to the kind of production gigs I tend to do. I conducted two simple practical side-by-side tests to compare the off-axis rejection and tonal properties of the two mics. The mics were placed side by side on a boom pole and recorded into my Panasonic AG-CX350 camcorder. Resulting footage was then edited in Final Cut Pro without equalisation or additional processing. Next, you'll see and hear the tests, followed by my thoughts on what I found. The remainder of the video is best listened to over good quality headphones. Okay, I've got both mics on a T-bar just in shot, equidistant from the sound source, and I'm working outside with some bird noise and a bit of road noise maybe. I'm just using the supplied foam windshields because there is virtually no wind, and at the moment you're listening to both mics with the gain set identically through the inputs of my Panasonic CX350. If you look at the meters on screen, you'll see that the Deity is around 3 to 4 dB louder than the Sennheiser. So before I go any further, I'm going to normalise the gain so that both mics are registering equally. Okay, so now we've got both mics operating on a level playing field, we can start comparing them. The first test I want to carry out is to move gradually off axis right around to the rear of the mics to see how they handle off axis rejection and how the rear lobe acts on each mic. I'll move right around one mic at a time, but I'll intersperse the footage so that you get to hear each mic regularly as I progress around the sides and rear. While I'm doing that, I'll be reading from one of my favourite poems in tribute to the great Lewis Carroll. "'Twas brillig, and the slithy tove did gyre and gimble in the wabe, or mimsy with the borogoves and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jubjub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe, or mimsy with the borogoves and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jubjub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so just to get an idea of how the mics actually sound, I'm going to read the poem, or rather the last three verses of it, and you'll be able to hear each section of it through each mic side by side after I've kind of interspersed them later. So here we go, enjoy. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. And hast thou slain the jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, Kaloo-Kalay, he chortled in his joy. O frabjous day, Kaloo-Kalay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe, all mimsy with the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. All mimsy with the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. As you saw, I found the Deity's output level to be around 3 to 4 dB higher than that of the Sennheiser, and with virtually identical self-noise, this gives the Deity an advantage in terms of signal to noise ratio. I thought both mics rejected off-axis sound very well, making them both eminently fit for purpose. However, the rear lobe on the Deity seemed more sensitive than the Sennheiser, which may be an issue in some circumstances. I did notice that the Deity and the Sennheiser dealt with off-axis sounds somewhat differently. The Sennheiser seemed to reject higher frequencies more readily than the Deity, while the Deity seemed to thin out off-axis sounds more than the 416. I'm not sure which I prefer, as I didn't really find either particularly objectionable, and to be honest, it's the quality of the on-axis sound that interests me more, though some users will have very different thoughts on this. Deity claim that the S-Mic 2 has a wider sweet spot than the 416, making it more forgiving of slightly off-axis use. I didn't notice any significant difference personally, so I'm guessing this is only slight. In terms of general tonal response, to my ears the Deity is slightly fuller in the lower mid-range, which did make for a little confusion from time to time with my voice. Conversely, the Sennheiser has a subtle and very pleasing presence lift, which adds a little sparkle in the high mids. This is almost certainly one of the main reasons the 416 is so popular with broadcasters and filmmakers, as it improves vocal definition without sounding harsh or forward. Having said that, I would emphasise that these differences are slight, and the S-Mic 2 could probably be EQ'd to emulate the 416 more closely without too much effort. I noticed that the two mics dealt with sibilance differently, with the Deity accentuating S sounds at a lower frequency than the Sennheiser. I personally preferred the Sennheiser's take on sibilance with my voice, which to my ears at least felt more refined. However, the mics may produce very different results with other voices. Both of these mics are built to last and will almost certainly survive the day-to-day rigours of production for many years. They're both engineered to a very high standard, both feel solid and reassuringly heavy, and both most definitely look the part. The two mics aren't sonically identical, but to be honest, they're so close that without side-by-side comparison, I'd be willing to bet that most listeners would be hard pushed to notice a difference. For my own purposes, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to use these as a pair for recording two subject interviews, for example, as the differences between the talents' voices would almost certainly override any difference in the sound of the mics. In conclusion, I'd say that if your budget can absorb upwards of £850 for an MKH416, you certainly won't regret it. The 416 is a truly great mic with a legendary pedigree. However, at less than half the price of a Sennheiser, the Deity S-Mic 2 puts on more than an admirable show compared to its more expensive rival. If you're starting out and need a genuinely professional shotgun mic for your video setup, you really can't go wrong with the Deity. This isn't the kind of mic that you'll be posting on eBay after a year of ownership due to upgrading your kit, as it will always serve you well. As for the sonic differences, they most definitely exist, but practically speaking, these mics are so close that I certainly wouldn't fret if I turned up at a shoot with the wrong one in my kit bag. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, don't. It's a free country. I'll see you again soon. Take care.